I was trying on wedding dresses when my fiancé didn't show up. But my phone kept ringing relentlessly. I hit speakerphone, hearing Ethan's hushed voice. "Sweetheart." Something came up. I studied my stunning reflection in the mirror, twirling in the pristine gown. The glass revealed a man's wolfish gaze behind me. I smirked at him before sighing into the phone. Too busy for our final fitting? The moment I hung up, scorching heat pressed against my back. Michael's gravelly voice vibrated against my neck. "Still not calling it off? Why would I?" I tilted my head, letting his stubble graze my jaw. "Marrying you isn't exactly settling." Ethan and I had been childhood sweethearts. 6 months before our wedding date, the cracks began showing. He thought he was subtle, but I'd noticed everything from day one: the lingering citrus perfume on his lab coat, the suspiciously basic research documents left open on his laptop, that glazed smile whenever his phone lit up during our date nights. There's a truth I live by: if you're wondering whether something's wrong, it's already too late. Yet after 15 years together, part of me clung to the hope that pre-wedding jitters were making me paranoid. The delusion shattered one sweltering afternoon when I brought lunch to his lab. Through the observation window, I watched him nudge Sophia toward a microscope. Her delighted gasp made him smile in that soft, crinkle-eyed way that used to be reserved for me. That night when I had cramps, this fastidious man who'd never boiled water actually made me ginger tea. As I watched his broad shoulders tense over the stove, the knife twisted deeper. I didn't confront him. Instead, I became the perfect bride-to-be, planning color-coordinated table settings, dragging him to cake tastings, mapping out Bali sunsets for our honeymoon. His responses grew increasingly mechanical. "Whatever you prefer, sweetheart." 3 months out, Ethan started chain smoking on our balcony at 2 a.m. I'd pretend to stumble sleepily outside, letting him crush his cigarette and murmur about lab equipment malfunctions. The next morning, he'd rush out before dawn, reeking of orange blossoms. He knew me too well. Knew my pride would never tolerate being second choice. All his clumsy attempts at concealment were really breadcrumbs, pathetic pleas for me to discover his affair, throw a scene, and mercifully dump him. After all, the Johnsons had begged for this union. The whole city expected our June wedding. How wrong he was. The moment he chose that mousy intern over 15 years of shared history, the game became mine. Did he really think I'd let them waltz off into some tacky sunset? 23 days before the wedding, Sophia's citrus perfume clung to Ethan's collar like cheap glitter. I hummed as I steamed his dress shirts, let the little minx get desperate. The bridal boutique incident confirmed everything. Next morning at Café Rouge, I found Ethan shielding Sophia behind him like some dime store romance hero. "Emily," he began, jaw tight, "you've always been like a sister to me. What I feel for Sophia, it's real. Our parents' arrangement." I studied this stranger wearing my best friend's face. Memories flashed: 3rd grade Ethan standing between me and a snarling stray dog. Prom night Ethan panicking when I scraped my knee dancing barefoot. Now here he was, protecting another girl from me. The checkered cafe table became an ocean between us. I stirred my latte slowly, watching cream swirl into oblivion. "Interesting proposal," I finally said. "But here's the thing about family." My stiletto hooked around Sophia's ankle under the table. Her startled yelp drowned in clattering china as I stood, smoothing my pencil skirt. Blood sticks. Outside, paparazzi flashes erupted. Michael materialized at my elbow, his Armani suit smelling of victory and Cuban cigars. "Shall we?" His thumb brushed my knuckles, a lover's caress for the cameras. I leaned into his touch, smiling at the headline-worthy chaos behind us. Let them print the engagement photos of Thompson's heir apparent with the Johnson family's disgraced ex. Let Ethan watch from the sidelines as his true love became yesterday's gossip. The real game was just beginning. He dismissed our past as youthful indiscretion. I couldn't help but smirk. These were ancient history, the kind of relics that should have been tossed out with Ethan like yesterday's trash. I've always preferred looking forward. Fine. My crisp agreement froze both people across from me. The delicate Sophia spoke first. Her porcelain face glowing under minimalist makeup, Ms. Wilson. I know this hurts. But Ethan and we're truly in love. I finally studied this lab partner of his, not through protective glass or pixelated screens. Her doe eyes shimmered with performative sympathy. A victor's magnanimity. When my gaze lingered, her fingers trembled around the coffee cup she raised for nervous sips. The spoon clinked rhythmically against my mug as I stirred. Poor, quality artisanal coffee released faint acidic notes. I grimaced audibly before abandoning the silver stirrer. Family dinner. Ethan? Sophia's eyes welled up at being ignored. Dragging this out helps no one. Ms. Wilson. Why cling to him? Ah. The verbal jujitsu. My phone buzzed on the table. Darling fiancé, pick any wedding dress you like. We'll make alterations work for next month's ceremony. The contact name, Michael's own meticulous doing. Imagining the feared CEO solemnly typing darling fiancé sparked genuine amusement. My renewed good humor softened my tone. Sophia. You've misunderstood. Convince the Johnsons to cancel the engagement. And I'll sign the papers tonight. Two faces palmed in unison. I'm Sophia. She corrected through clenched teeth as I flipped through photos. My mistake. I offered without looking up. Apologies. Ms. Davis. Ethan finally erupted. Emily. I've wronged you. Let's settle this at the family dinner tonight. We both knew why he needed me, Mrs. Johnson's viper tongue could dismantle his chemical engineer fantasy in seconds. The Johnson empire teemed with illegitimate heirs salivating for weakness. My corporate savvy had been his armor these years. Did he truly believe love alone sustained his research privileges? Darling. Will Emily join us? Mrs. Johnson's voice sliced through the foyer later. Her arms already looped through Sophia's. Sophia's been such a help in Ethan's lab, such grit for someone from humble beginnings. The temporary fiancé stood ignored as they cooed over the blushing intern. Each backhanded compliment about Sophia's obedience and advanced degrees hung in the air like smoke. I traced my coffee cup's rim, mentally inventorying Mrs. Johnson's past embraces, the woman who'd cradled me after my parents' deaths while eyeing our corporate shares. Greed. I mused. Makes fools of strategists. My coat vibrated. Michael, location? Across the room. Ethan interrogated his mother about her sudden closeness to Sophia. Mrs. Johnson beamed. Sophia would make a lovely bridesmaid. My spoon clattered against the saucer. 3 years of boardroom battles condensed into this surreal moment, a corporate heiress upstaged by a lab assistant at her own engagement charade. Michael's dry text suddenly felt infinitely preferable to this circus. None of this mattered anymore. I casually replied Johnson Family Estate and slipped my phone back into my coat pocket. Mrs. Johnson. We came to discuss calling off the engagement between me and Ethan. The smile froze on Mrs. Johnson's face as she subtly withdrew her hand from Sophia's grasp. Emily. Marriage isn't something to joke about. Tell me what Ethan did wrong, I'll make it right. She moved to sit beside me, reaching for my hand. I couldn't suppress my mocking smile. Mrs. Johnson. Ethan prefers your perfect, educated and obedient Sophia. You adore her too. Isn't this ideal for everyone? My phone kept vibrating in my pocket. The buzzing sensation crawling up my arm to prick at my heart. Emily. You must be misunderstanding, they're just classmates. The innocent-looking girl bit her lip. Tear-filled eyes fixed on Ethan. Ethan finally snapped. Mom. Sophia and I are truly in love. Mrs. Johnson stood abruptly, glaring at her son. I've seen more of her type than you have. Apologize to Emily immediately, she's your girlfriend and future fiancé. Sophia rose silently, clutching Ethan's hand as fake sobs shook her shoulders. Ethan frowned. Mom, don't talk about Sophia like that. I'm going to marry her. Besides, Emily and I never officially dated. We both agreed to end this engagement. Our 24 years together, reduced to never officially dated. What trash. Mrs. Johnson flushed crimson, shouting over him, she's just another gold digger. Apologize to Emily now, so she could recognize Sophia's true colors after all. Only Ethan remained clueless. Suddenly exhausted, I retrieved my vibrating phone. 3 messages from Michael lit up the screen. Johnson Estate. Why there? Regretting our marriage already? No take-backs. Wait for me. I was typing no when another vibration hit come out. I'm at the Johnson gates. I walked away without looking back, their heated argument fading behind me. Michael waited outside, all 6 feet of Thompson family air lounging against his obscenely parked luxury car. He strode over, surrounding me with his sandalwood scent before I could speak. His eyelashes cast feathery shadows as he peered down with puppy dog eyes, tentatively hooking his pinky with mine. Changed your mind, Emily? The challenge in his voice cracked the dam holding my emotions. I teased. What if I did? We'd first met in a grocery store. While selecting tomatoes for Ethan, I noticed the impeccably dressed man behind me mirroring my choices. Those are the bruised rejects, I warned. My boyfriend can stomach them. You shouldn't. Teach me, he'd said. Our weekly produce encounters became his increasingly obvious courtship ritual. When he drove me to the bridal shop that fateful day, my grocery tutor became my fiancé. Sometimes I still suspected he just wanted a personal shopper. His finger tightened around mine now. Then I'll camp outside your door every morning until you take pity. Since my wife, to be clearly, doesn't care. I stood on tiptoe to ruffle his hair. Learned that from your tomato days? What? Let's go. Where? To my place. Consider it adult compassion. The unspoken promise hung between us as we drove into the night. He never held back his emotions around me, instantly growing restless as he hurriedly turned the car toward my apartment. The dam holding my own feelings finally cracked. I couldn't suppress a soft laugh. In such a hurry? I sent Michael the location, an old but pricey suburban neighborhood. His eyebrow arched, yet he shamelessly U-turned without hesitation. Since when did you get this place? Not exactly on our way. I simply watched him, smiling faintly as he white-knuckled the steering wheel. The car accelerated sharply, my laughter growing louder with each gear shift. The phone kept ringing. Mrs. Johnson's name flashing repeatedly. Annoyed but polite, I answered. Sweetheart. Whatever Ethan said, ignore him. The wedding proceeds as planned. Of course the wedding's happening. My lips twitched. Exactly as scheduled. Mrs. Johnson. The stunned silence crackled before she gushed praises. Such a good girl. I hung up mid-sentence, howling with laughter until tears blurred the familiar security booth. Emily. The guard beamed. My wife's pickled cucumbers, you'll take jars tomorrow. Wiping my eyes, I teased. Looking younger than ever. Uncle Lee. No hiding the good batch this time. Childhood memories flooded back. Dad's daily chess defeats here. Still wearing his tailored suits. Mom always sent me to retrieve him, and I'd con extra candy from the guards until cavities betrayed me. The image of Uncle Lee's wife nervously wringing her apron while he blurted no more sweets. Princess. Still made me snort laugh. Michael dragged me through manicured lawns as I giggled hysterically. They actually believed I'd marry into that family? And Dad, God. His chest was terrible. Laughter dissolved into choked gasps when we stopped at a colonial-style house. His thumb brushed my tear-streaked cheek roughly. Stop that awful cackling. The warmth lingered, our breaths tangling. You know why we're here. Our lips crashed together, my back hitting the foyer wall. His hand slid under my blouse, calloused palms scraping skin. I melted against him if not love. Then financial security would do. The Thompson heir certainly qualified. He suddenly pulled away. Jaw clenched. Where's the liquor? Upstairs. Dad's collection. He returned with vintage bourbon, sloshing amber liquid into tumblers. Drink. That fake laughter since leaving the Johnsons? Drown it. I stared at my half-unzipped dress. You stopped foreplay for this? I'd rather die than take a single sip today. I blacked out completely. When I opened my eyes, Michael was lying beside me. I frantically checked my clothes, still the same wrinkled dress from yesterday. Michael slept like a log. So I kicked him hard. You didn't even change me into pajamas? What kind of CEO are you? Dark circles shadowed his eyes. Remember anything, Emily? How you ran around hugging a cooking pot? Smashed liquor bottles? Clawed at my clothes like your life depended on it, total blackout. If I can't remember it, it didn't happen. Eventually. I ended up clutching a pickle jar in his pretentious Maybach. The car reeking of fermented cucumbers. Bye-bye, Pickle Prince. Back at my apartment. Charging my phone revealed flooded messages. Unknown number, can't believe you'd still agree to the wedding. Ethan's been mine for months. Mrs. Johnson, don't listen to rumors. You're my only daughter-in-law. Ethan, I'm sorry. I know you've known about Sophia. Have the wedding if you want. Hope you can move on. I forced myself to read every word. You think I care? Fighting over Ethan like he's some prize? Keep him. My real obsession was the bidding war in 2 weeks, that's where the true treasure lay. Fiancé, pick your dream venue. Me, these require year-long reservations. Fiancé, money talks. Let's be clear, we're hijacking someone else's wedding spot. Not just messy, but downright tacky. Needed to negotiate with both hotel staff and the original couple. Didn't care Michael's shameless anyway. The hotel caved next day. His money. My name. Gossip exploded Emily Wilson's $1 million love story. Mrs. Johnson called. Gushing, sweetheart. I always knew you truly loved our Ethan. You'll always be our Johnson daughter. Ethan called immediately after. Oozing fake sincerity, I've joined the family business now. Never realized how hard you worked before. My keyboard clacked relentlessly as I prepped bids. His dramatic sigh crackled through the phone. I heard about the venue. Consider it closure. Please let me go. Busy with the bid. Pause. You don't need to help Johnson Corp this time. I'm handling it. I nearly snorted. Helping you before? Now you'll get crumbs. You'll be devoured by those corporate sharks. 2 weeks flew by amid constant fiancé updates and wedding plans. When I spotted Michael at the bidding hotel, I froze. He'd personally handled every wedding detail. Why bother with this bid? Mr. Thompson? Interested in this project? He leaned close, breath tickling my ear. Here to watch my dazzling fiancé conquer the battlefield. Goosebumps rose until Ethan's voice cut through. What are you doing here? Sophia hovered behind him. Mousy voice piping, good afternoon. Miss Wilson. Impressive composure. I studied her briefly. Ethan puffed up, I don't need your help this time. I've got this. Before I could respond, Michael's icy tone sliced between us. Enough with Keep it professional. Mr. Johnson. Shockingly clueless for a new executive. Ethan blinked, and you are. Let's go. Darling. Michael dragged me inside by the wrist. Seated center stage. I whispered, behave. His jealous act was almost convincing. Michael obediently released my hand. I met his gaze and stated firmly. I've spent 6 months preparing for this bid. Not even a tycoon can recklessly inflate prices now. Scanning the room, I nodded slightly at familiar faces. The auction commenced for prime coastal parcels in the redevelopment zone, former industrial lands now revitalized through government incentives. The owner had wisely subdivided the massive lot into 14 tracts. The first 9 plots near residential areas sold around $1.5 billion each. Perfect for international retail complexes. Ethan secured 2. My pulse quickened as the maritime lots surfaced, 11,908 square meters and 12,890 square meters parcels bordering thriving harbors. True gold mines. $5 billion. My hand trembled slightly as I doubled the last bid. The room froze. When someone countered $5.5 billion, I immediately raised my paddle. $7 billion. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Mr. Chen, a longtime associate, eyed me incredulously. Emily, your audacity astounds. The rivalry intensified as Jiayi Group pushed to $7.1 billion. Without hesitation, I volleyed back $8 billion. Flashing Mr. Chen a wolfish grin. Youthful recklessness has its merits. Michael's smoldering gaze followed my every move as the gavel fell in my favor. He always enjoyed watching me claim trophies. Though relieved Jiayi had withdrawn, I straightened my posture, no time to relax with the final lot pending. My mental threshold stood at $18 billion total. Beyond $10 billion for this last tract would require creativity. When a minor firm opened at $5 billion, I frowned. Ethan's $6 billion bid made me scoff. Did the Johnson heir truly think he could snatch this prize? Observing Ethan's tense conversation with an unfamiliar executive, realization struck. 2 acquisitions already? Borrowing funds. Undoubtedly, the Johnsons wouldn't risk all liquidity on his gambit. Pathetic. $7 billion. I declared, ignoring Ethan's conflicted stare. As Mr. Chen escalated to $10 billion. I texted Ethan, $5 billion loan. No interest. Consider it an engagement gift. Let him drown in his own ambition. Michael snorted softly, intertwining our pinkies in mock affection. At $10.01 billion. He theatrically raised my paddle by a single million. I nearly laughed aloud, literal compliance to test the waters. When Mr. Chen countered $11 billion. The room buzzed. Only shipping magnates could stomach such premiums. Ethan's desperate $12 billion bid arrived with a saccharine text, "My angel. I'll make you proud." I exchanged amused glances with Michael, our joined hands tightening. Let the fool believe in phantom loyalty, he'd learn soon enough about promissory notes and compound interest. Mr. Chen's narrowed eyes assessed Ethan. The Johnson prodigy. Is it? The relish in his voice foreshadowed financial carnage. Throughout. Michael's thumb traced circles on my palm, part distraction, part silent applause. We both knew the real game extended far beyond this auction hall. Ethan looked slightly flustered. In the end, he secured the land parcel. After the bidding, Mr. Chen intercepted Ethan and me. What a united front you two make. You must come to me for cruise bookings later. Ethan flushed crimson. Absolutely. Mr. Chen immediately clapped his shoulder. Great. We'll sign the contract this afternoon. Don't you dare run off. Mr. Johnson. The half-joking threat left Ethan frozen in place. I couldn't suppress my laughter. You borrowed $5 billion from me. Yet this project will slash Johnson family profits by at least 30%. You're actually agreeing to Chen's terms? My chuckle caught Mr. Chen's attention. And you, Emily, better stick around too. Only fools would stay. I smiled. Excuse me. I'm desperate for the restroom. Emerging from the stall, I found Michael leaning against the wall, cigarette ember glowing between his fingers. What does Mr. Thompson have? I'm jealous. This hurts. Michael stubbed out his cigarette in the trash can, then rested his head on my shoulder. The mingled scents of tobacco and sandalwood made me dizzy. Stand properly if you want to talk. He straightened like a soldier reporting for duty. I'm hurt. I'm jealous. His pinky hooked mine. Puppy dog eyes in full force. Pleased by today's victory. I studied his handsome features. What should we do about that? Fiancé? The magic word worked instantly. He turned away. Scarlet ears exposed. Our linked fingers swinging urgently. Kiss me. Here? You've got terrible taste. I pulled his neck down, rising on tiptoes to meet his lips. Consider this your bidding commission. Breathless afterward, I asked, why were you smirking when Ethan raised his paddle? He borrowed $2 billion from that small firm. The one I own. You snake! I collapsed against Michael laughing, until Ethan's shocked voice cut through. Baby? Turning. I found him glaring. Who's this? My fiancé. Ethan gritted his teeth. You can't just rebound with some random after our breakup. Michael's grip tightened around my pinky. I slid my entire hand into his palm. Michael and I are following our hearts. Unlike our arranged engagement. Remember when you said parental contracts don't matter if we're adults? He paled seeing our joined hands. Emily. What does this mean? You're throwing away 20 years of history? My smile widened. His neck veins bulged as if I'd struck him. Pathetic. Had he considered my feelings while cheating? Our history during his affairs? Now he squirms over a simple handhold? I don't need his hypocritical concern. He lunged forward. You think this playboy loves you? He's after your money. Michael tensed to retaliate. But I restrained him. I handle my own battles. Where's your precious Sophia? Ethan froze like a cornered rat. Guess she's after your money too? I dragged Michael away. Go play house with your true love. Don't embarrass yourself here. Sophia lived up to expectations. 24 days before the wedding. Mrs. Johnson paid her off. The girl fled under pressure using the plane ticket I provided. 14 days out. Mr. Johnson returned. The company acquired 3 prime properties, including that lucrative plot. Everyone praised Ethan's business acumen, even my circles heard the accolades. That evening, Mr. Johnson called. The big day's approaching. Dear. Let's finalize wedding details. No mention of the bidding war. No apologies for Ethan's infidelity. Not a word about Sophia. Just wedding plans. The voice on the phone continued with habitual authority. The wedding between you and Ethan was arranged by both families. It's not something to cancel lightly. I lounged on my sofa, watching Michael wash strawberries in the kitchen, all broad shoulders and endless legs. Mr. Johnson. No need for discussion. My wedding preparations are complete. The line went silent, mistaking my tone for compliance. A deeper voice finally responded, fine. Send the ceremony schedule. Ethan's been negligent. But as a Johnson wife, you'll need to be understanding. Michael emerged with strawberries, instantly attuned to me. Sweetheart. Who's calling? He purred, feeding me a berry with lover's intimacy. I shot him a look as the line remained open. People stray sometimes. The voice continued. But family endures. Another strawberry touched my lips. Ethan's remorseful. Childhood sweethearts like you should forgive youthful mistakes. Wives must. I bit into tart sweetness, remembering Mr. Johnson's performative devotion at family gatherings, now replaced by countless illegitimate heirs. Mrs. Johnson's tolerance is legendary. But why should Emily forgive? Why should Emily settle? Expect invitations. I said. 3 days before the wedding. Gold-embossed crimson envelopes bearing Emily and Michael in flamboyant calligraphy set society buzzing. The heiress who'd reserved ballrooms for Ethan now marrying the Thompson heir? I personally delivered 3 invitations to the Johnson estate. Michael spent the evening grinning like a fool, clutching our marriage announcement. That night, Ethan came pounding on my penthouse. Michael stumbled sleepily from the guest room, wrapping possessive arms around me as I texted, "Get lost." Morning revealed Ethan slumped outside my door. "Emily, explain this farce." Dark circles framed his eyes. The new waterfront development had exposed his disastrous deal with Chen Enterprises. The insignificant partner I'd secretly backed now held 200 ships hostage at the construction site. Marrying for spite? He massaged his temples. "You've always wanted this. It's not too late to fix things." My grip tightened on the doorframe. He knew. He'd always known, the carefully forgotten candy at 16. The watch I'd bankrupted my allowance for at 17. Every self-doubting dawn after discovering his affairs. I saw 16-year-old Emily clutching funeral-chilled hands that brought spoiled cheesecake, the rancid dessert binding me to this narcissist for 8 years. "You knew about my affairs from the start," he said. "We're even now." The slap echoed through the hallway. "Even?" Another strike bloomed across his cheek. "You mistook love for leverage. Your power came from my devotion." He sneered through reddened skin. "Our parents' vow binds you. Cancel this circus unless you want your mother's ghost shamed." Memories surfaced of mother's final whisper, "Ethan's good, don't cry, I'll make your favorite tomorrow," her skeletal hand slipping from mine. Still planning meals for a future she'd never see. The waterfront project blueprints flashed behind my eyes, every compromised beam and rigged bid. Let the Johnsons choke on their legacy. Enjoy the wedding. I smiled. Front row seats reserved. "Get out!" I slammed the door and turned to see Michael standing in the living room holding a crystal tumbler. His aristocratic features softened by the lamplight. "Come eat, sweetheart." He didn't ask. I didn't explain. I took tentative sips of the coconut milk he'd poured. Throat tightening. Michael finally broke first. "Sweetheart, why did Ethan come to see you?" Even Ethan remembered my lactose intolerance. Tears pooled mercilessly before splashing onto the mahogany table. "Never mind. Handle it however you want. Just don't cry." Michael panicked. Through blurred vision I watched his Adam's apple bob. "Don't abandon me after all this effort." My tearful laugh sounded more like a sob. "Michael, thank God I'm marrying you. On our wedding eve." Michael triple-checked everything from Jordan almonds to my ivory satin pumps. His parents arrived that evening. Mrs. Thompson swatting his shoulder with her Birkin. "You little rascal. Your father nearly had a coronary when the invitation arrived." I opened my mouth to apologize for the rushed planning, but Michael intercepted with dramatic hugs. "Mom, I'm getting cold feet. What if? Pish posh. The bride's not nervous." Mrs. Thompson marched toward me in Chanel tweed. "Miss Wilson, I've followed your work since you outmaneuvered Michael on the harbor project." Sharp instincts. I flushed, remembering how I'd handed that victory to the Johnsons. Before I could explain, she continued, "Darling, may I call you that?" Someone needed to humble this cocky air. Her clinical praise hung between us like museum glass, respectful, honest, devoid of false warmth. Dawn found Mrs. Thompson observing my makeup ritual with clinical interest. At 7 a.m., she took the cathedral veil from the stylist. "Michael's pacing like a caged tiger," she said, unexpectedly brushing my hair with steady strokes. "I'll wait for you to call me Mom." My phone buzzed at 7:30 a.m. with trending headlines. Wilson heiress betrays parents' dying wish. Gold digs new billionaire match. The hashtag Scarlet Heiress hashtag already blazed across platforms. My assistant answered on first ring. "We're handling it with Thompson's team." That snake Ethan's crying to media about being jilted? Wait till Sophia's exposed drops. Firecrackers rattled the bridal suite windows at 7:45 a.m. as I forwarded the damning footage Ethan's hotel tryst with Sophia. Mr. Johnson's blackmail recordings. Let the Johnsons choke on their crumbling real estate empire. When Michael burst in at 8:15 a.m., his Armani tux wrinkled from pacing, The Thompson diamond glinted on my finger. Ready to come home, Mrs. Thompson? Pressed against his back during the piggyback ride tradition. I finally understood Mrs. Thompson's dry-eyed approval. These Thompsons loved like Wall Street all in. No hedging. The ceremony proceeded under the Johnsons' ashen stares. My something borrowed happened to be Sophia's surveillance footage playing on reception screens. By the time Uncle walked me down the aisle, the Dow Jones ticker already reflected the Johnsons' nosediving stocks. Michael's hands trembled clasping mine. We'd agreed on a prenup favoring me, but his whispered vows promised forever. Through the veil, I watched a single tear track through his stubble. The Thompsons didn't do half measures in mergers or marriages. Later, sampling our 5-tier vanilla cake, I finally released the breath I'd held since childhood. Let the tabloids howl. I'd chosen my family now. I couldn't help but whisper Mom and Dad to myself. Michael held my hand as we walked down the final stretch of the aisle. Mom, Dad, can you see? I'm getting married now. Probably to the best man in the world. The officiant was reciting lengthy vows, staring into Michael's deep-set eyes. I secretly introduced him to my parents in my heart. Mom, this is Michael. He respects me completely. Never interfered with any decision I've ever made. Do you, Michael, take Emily to be your lawfully wedded wife? The officiant asked. Michael gazed intensely at me. I do. Turning to me, the officiant continued, do you, Emily, take Michael to be your husband? Mom, I'm marrying such a good man. You don't need to worry about me anymore. You don't have to cook my favorite dishes, he can make them for me now. You don't need to remind me about my lactose intolerance, he'll prepare alternatives. I do. On our wedding night, the air was thick with the scent of wine as our breaths mingled. His hand slid up my back beneath my dress. Struggling to stay clear-headed, I asked, why me? Just because I know how to pick vegetables? This same question again. Finally understanding my implication, Michael kept moving his hand downward, teasing, yeah. I bit down on his shoulder, but he just chuckled. When you outmaneuvered the Thompsons for that construction project. God, you were irresistible. Epilogue. Sophia was right, I only approached Ethan for money. What she didn't know was that approaching Ethan had been a transaction from the start. This is how I make my living. Michael paid me $5 million to seduce Ethan. I'll never forget how the usually decisive CEO awkwardly instructed, just test him. No need for anything extreme like drugs. A simple test will suffice. Don't overdo it. I expected some challenge, but he took the bait immediately. Boring. The real entertainment was his fiancée. Even after multiple video calls and phone records, she remained unfazed. When confrontation came, she went straight for the jugular. Marrying into wealth? Never crossed my mind. I took Michael's $5 million and Mrs. Johnson's $10 million, more than I'd earn in a lifetime of honest work. After collecting payment, I left for vacation. Better stay realistic. The night before my departure, the heiress suddenly requested a meeting. Expecting tears or threats like previous clients, I was met with icy composure instead. Film a video proving Ethan's infidelity. I slipped into character instantly, Miss Wilson. What's this about? Ethan and I truly love each other. I'm just leaving to avoid complications. She stirred her coffee, sipping calmly, reminding me of her disgusted expression during our previous encounter at the same cafe. $1 million. But Miss Wilson, $2 million. Take it or I walk. Deal. I filmed the confession video right there, demanding she book my flight and ensure my safety. As she stood to leave, I asked, how did you figure it out? Checking her phone, probably replying to messages, she answered, you were too cautious. Enduring Mrs. Johnson's attacks yet only crying to Ethan. Never speaking up even when he acknowledged you. Cautious? I had to be. Overacting might have cost me everything from the Johnsons. After she left, I sipped the lukewarm coffee. Bitter and numbing. I preferred that other cafe we'd visited. 3 months later, returning to that favored coffee shop, someone grabbed me from behind. Sophia, this is all your fault. Ethan stood there, wrinkled suit, unkempt hair, bloated face. I smiled. I'd kept tabs. The Johnson family board had heavily invested in that land project. Despite warnings from Ethan and his father, construction began only for Emily to arrive with inspectors, revealing they'd been building for competitors all along. Now with broken capital chains, Ethan should have hidden. Instead, he chose to crash Emily's wedding day. Thank goodness I had that clarification video I recorded, or everyone would still think Ethan was some hopeless romantic. With all those illegitimate children Ethan has, none of them were useful this time because Ethan got removed from power. Looking at Ethan's furious, bloodshot eyes, I suddenly remembered him leaning closer in the lab and smirked. Who do you think you are?